Welcome into another edition of Strengthening Oklahoma. And this edition of Strengthening Oklahoma is brought to you by The Garage. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order online from the garage in your neighborhood. We come to you on this Monday after a rough appearance in Fort Worth, hoping for a bounce back. It was anything but that, but we have the pleasure to be joined by starting safety and return man, Mr. Billy Bowman. Billy, appreciate you getting up and joining us here today, man. How you doing?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good.
Okay, so game did not go the way anybody wanted it to. Did not go the way we thought it would, and it kind of started early on. On kick return, you took a little shot. You came out. You didn't come back into the ball game. Came back on the sidelines, no pads in the second half. How you feeling? How's everything going? And as far as your injury goes.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, it's just unfortunate. I really wish I could have played and finished that TCU game, but I'm doing everything I can now to try and get back in the training room and see what I can do.
Yeah, and that's all you can do, right? Injuries they're undoubtedly part of the game, and you guys had a lot of them on Saturday. But
Yeah.
as far as your experience during that game, you go out. How difficult was it for you to just sit there on the sidelines and kind of just have to watch that defensive performance and not being able to be out on the field and making a difference for your team?
Yeah, I mean, it hurt a lot, and I really don't think it hit me until a couple of my teammates were just coming up to me and telling me like, "Hey, bro, like we need you out there," like, and then like that's the point where it hit me, and it's like, dang, like even if I was out there, like I'm not saying like this would have changed the game or anything, but like just my presence could have brought something different to the game, and who knows what would have changed.
That's a tough feeling as a player, man, when you feel like you can help impact and help your teammates impact the game, but unfortunately, health gets in the way. So, man, I feel you on that for sure. As far as watching the tape or watching from the side, so many Sooner fans have so many questions. What's going on? What went wrong? From your perspective, what is going wrong? The explosive plays, I think, jump out at people. 4 touchdowns of 62 plus yards. Can you pinpoint one thing or a couple of things that kind of have ailed this defense and a way that they can get it corrected?
Yeah, like you said, it's the explosive plays. I feel like we're just handing people things. I mean, and you look on the tape and you see 3, 4, 5 great plays in a row, an opportunity where we can get off the field, and then it's like just one small thing, somebody's out of position, and it's boom, a bust. That's a big play, long touchdown, a first down on third down. So I mean, it's just the little things, and so like they say, it's about 5 to 7 plays in a game that changed the whole game, and that came early for us, and we can't do that. We got to be able to start early, start fast.
Right. So I think a lot of people, their main question, Billy, may be, hey, can these issues be fixed? Right? Like, can these be addressed in practice? Like, can you guys get these things corrected that have gone wrong the last couple weeks? What do you say to that? Can it be fixed?
Yeah, yes, it can be fixed, and I feel like we can't dig ourselves too deep. And this upcoming week is a perfect opportunity to get things turned around.
No question. OU Texas week, man. No better time than the present. I'm curious, is it things like, is it confusion, miscommunication? Is anything that you can kind of point like in that regard, like surprised at what you're seeing? I feel like typically, this staff does a great job of preparing guys for situations, but it almost just seems like on the fly when things are happening in real time, just guys out of place, not either getting a check. And that's why I wonder communication, how much of it is there a check out there that guys aren't getting? I mean, any thoughts on that? Just is the communication poor? Is what you're seeing not what you expected? Anything in that area that's led to some of these big plays that we saw on Saturday?
Yeah, I think it's more confusion than it is miscommunication. I feel like we've done a great job communicating, but I feel like it gets to a point where we're thinking too much and we just need to just play. And so that comes in the preparation though. So once we get prepared and stuff like that, we shouldn't be playing with a lot of thought on our minds. Just go play.
So, with that in mind, do you think that is kind of what was at the what was the main reason for some of those long breakdown or the long touchdowns, like the breakdowns and coverage, who's going to be the quarterback player on Duggan on his long run? Is it that confusion that just has guys out of position?
Yeah, I think it's that also with a tad bit of people everybody trying to make their play for themselves, not knowing that there's 11 guys on the field and we just need to play together. And once we play together, then we'll be good.
There's an old saying, and I'm sure you've heard it: "Do your job." Right?
Yeah.
When you start trying to do other people's job, it can compound a problem, right? And it does kind of seem like once you start giving up those big plays, guys start saying, "You know what? I'm going to make something happen,
Yeah.
even if it's outside of what I'm supposed to do." And trying to help, actually, all you're doing is only making the situation worse. So do your job, I think, is something that will be heard throughout that facility all week long. It can't all be bad. We've all been there. We've all been a part of games that it just feels like everything is terrible. And you go back and you watch the tape, and you're like, you know what? Wasn't as bad as I thought. Any positives at all the defense can take away from this game that happened there in Fort Worth on Saturday?
I feel like there's a few, but not too many. We definitely have to start faster, and that's been what we've been trying to do for the last couple of weeks, really almost the whole season. But we got to start faster, and that comes with letting up all those yards and all those points in the first quarter, yet the first half. But we got to start faster, and I say we're playing hard. We're flying to the ball. We're doing what we can. We just got to come together.
So one of one of the big issues defensively in Fort Worth had some big pass interference calls, right? And I just want you to help people understand that you guys do work on running with wide receivers and turning and find the football, because I feel like there's this notion that you guys never work on it. And I know that that's just not the case with Coach Hall and Coach Valai.
Yeah, we work on it every single day. So it just comes to a point where we have to trust the work that we put in. And so I mean, we put in so much work, and right now things aren't going our way. So we have to find a way. So.
No question. And we see, pass interference and stuff all across college football. And you tell me, like, balls in the air, and you've always got to turn back, right? Get back and be able to look and find the football. If you don't, typically it draws a flag. I just did Wake Forest and Florida State. They had multiple pass interferences where the defender's in good position, but last minute either he doesn't turn around or he panics and grabs. What's that like when you're in that spot? When you're in good position, the ball's in the air. Like, what's going on through the mind of a DB, and how do you prevent yourself, from making that contact, from maybe, pulling or grabbing on the receiver? And then even more so, how mindful are you to get your head back so you can, maybe either make a play or at least get eyes on the football?
Yeah, that's one of the toughest positions to be in, and it's always going to be 10 times harder when you're in trail position and you're chasing the receiver, and that's when panic mode comes in. But I mean, we're taught to not panic and just play through the receiver's hands if we can't look back for the ball. But I mean, you just want to try and stay on top of the receiver to where you're not having to look back. You're having to just be right there and just look straight up.
Yeah. No, I think it's a lot more difficult than it looks. I've never had to experience that. I did not get any snaps at safety or corner in my playing days, but it does not look like an easy task to me, Billy. Now, the one thing after these last two performances defensively, I worry about the confidence of the group, right? I'm a big believer that confidence is a massive factor in playing good offense, good defense, whatever. What's the confidence level of the group on defense right now? And how do you make sure, as one of the leaders, how do you make sure that, these guys don't lose confidence, belief moving forward?
Yeah, that is a tough thing, and it's not just a tough thing for us, but for anybody who plays sports. But like I said, it's a great opportunity this week, and I feel like this week is what really can bring that confidence back and or go into the game with that confidence that we had at the beginning of the season when we were 0-0. So we just want to, attack this week, attack today, start off the week good, and just win the week and go 1-0 from here on out.
Let's get to this week, because I think it's the best week in college football. It's the best game in college football. It's OU Texas. You and I are from very similar places. I mean, you grew up probably 10 minutes from where I grew up, right there in the north central Dallas area, just north of Dallas, that Denton County area. And you had your chance to play in this game last year. What was that experience like? What give us an idea from your standpoint, what that setting, that scene, being there at the Cotton Bowl and playing Texas right there in the heart of the State Fair of Texas. What was that like for you last season?
Yeah, it was definitely the most loudest, the most intense, the most everything game I've ever been a part of, and it's the best game in college football. So there's always something different about it. So this right here, this can turn everything around. So this is the only thing that matters right now.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Now, because you're kind of a Texas high school football legend, man, especially the performance in the state championship game, all that stuff. Like, what does this game mean to you, like, as a Texas guy at Oklahoma?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's going to be a lot of people that I've known for a long time, or that I'm friends with, family members and stuff like that, going to be at the game. But I mean, I'm with my Oklahoma brother, so whatever we got to do is what we got to do, and so I'd rather be on no other team, have no other teammates, and so ready to go down there to Dallas and get the win.
Wasn't Jatavian Sanders, their very athletic tight end? He was your teammate, right? Didn't you guys win a state championship together?
Yes, I have two teammates on that team.
Okay. So are you giving scouting reports to try to help out the defense
No.
on maybe some tips or tells that Sanders may present that may not show up on film?
Nah, I mean, we'll see everything we need to on film, and then we'll talk after the game. So,
I like that mentality. Now, when you look at their offense, and I know it's early in the week, you guys have just gotten started. When it comes to looking at Texas, what do you see? Clearly, a lot of talent. Bijan Robinson, Xavier Worthy, Jordan Whittington. I mean, they got a lot of talent at the skill positions, Billy.
yeah, there's talent everywhere. They got that explosive receiver you said, number 8, and one of the best running backs in college football. So I feel like it's about us. It'll always be about us. So let's go make our name known. That's how we feel about it, and that's what we talked about in one of our meetings yesterday. So let's make it about us, and let's go do our thing.
Bijan Robinson, he's one of the most difficult running backs in the country to tackle, especially if he gets the ball out in open space. And I think leveraging the football has got to be a real key here for you guys. It just doesn't seem like at times guys are using the proper leverage to give themselves a chance. Like, we can say poor tackling, but why is it poor tackling? I think it's a multitude of things, but definitely, forcing running backs and players with the ball to your help. How important will that be this week in particular against Bijan when he's got the ball?
Yes, we'll definitely have to swarm him, get multiple hats around the ball at all times, or else we'll see some big broken plays, and we don't need that. So we just got to swarm the ball.
So it's still kind of up in the air, but it seems they've held Quinn Ewers out for this football game, like letting him get healthy and be ready for this one. So, like, Did you ever have any interactions with him? Both of you guys being big time recruits there in Texas. Like, do you know Quinn at all or anything like that?
Nah, I don't. I don't.
All right, then don't have to worry about that. There we go.
No. He can spin it. We'll see exactly. Hudson Card's playing good football too. So you guys clearly have to prepare for both. Card brings a little bit more of a running element, while Quinn Ewers has definitely got that lively arm. But a lot of preparation for you guys this upcoming week. Let's get to a couple of fan questions before we get you out of here. Our fan questions brought to you by Love's Travel Stops. Visit loves.com for more information on the nation's leading travel stop network that's headquartered right here in the great state of Oklahoma. Kurt C. says, who is the best player you've ever played with and or against? Gotcha.
That's tough, man.
Gotcha.
That is very tough. That is very tough. I would say my freshman year of high school, I played with Spencer Sanders, and I know a lot might not want to hear that, but that's when I realized, going from that to every other year, that's when I realized he's a different type of player. He's a different type of quarterback. So
I did not anticipate Spencer Sanders being the answer, but Billy, that's
It's a good
pretty
answer.
good timing. The guy is playing the best football of his career right now, and they just went and got a big time win in Waco.
yeah.
So I mean, I really can't argue with it, right? I mean, the guy's playing good ball.
And it'll be a big challenge. I mean, because that kind of hits on both. You played with him, you've played against him, and there's going to be a big game for Bedlam later on the season in Norman. So, I mean, it's a really good answer. I like it.
Yeah. All right. This last one comes from Pam Chandler. This is an interesting question, right? And you got hurt, so I'm interested to hear your perspective on it, Billy. But Pam said, what was it like for you when so many guys on your team got injured in the TCU game?
It really sucked, especially when our starting quarterback goes down. It's like, man, like, what now? But we just got to keep pushing, and hopefully everybody can stay healthy. And I mean, we don't really need injuries at this time, so everybody needs to just continue to stay healthy and continue to push through whatever they can.
Injuries are never easy. Boy, that shot that Hodge put on Dylan was vicious, man. It really was. I'm not going to try to get into his head and say, was there intent or was there not? It sure looked like he was not trying to avoid contact. And when he brought that forearm shiver, that was an ugly sight. It was good to see Dylan up, though, and seemed to be okay after the game. We'll see if he's okay this week. What about Damon Harmon? He goes down, and it sounds like news is good. Sounds like he's doing okay. How just scary is that for everybody involved when somebody's down the field for that long? You just don't quite know exactly how they're going to be able to bounce back from that.
Yeah, that's very scary, especially anytime you got to get taken off out of your own ability. That's a scary thing. And, I think there's a lot of that going around with, I know everybody's seen the Tua situation, but I mean, there's a lot of things out there that we don't know about, neck and head injuries, but he's doing well. I've seen him yesterday and talked to him, so everything's good as of right now.
It's great news. It really is, man. Well, no, it's not easy. We wish you a speedy recovery, and it's a huge week, man. Just last thing, like what's the message this week? What's the message that players and coaches have already had, and what you anticipate the message in such a crucial game and a crucial juncture in the season for this team?
The past couple of weeks, the past 2 weeks is behind us now, and this week is up, and this is not the one you want to lose. So that's the word right there. This is not the one you want to lose.
Oh, it's not. It's not. And hopefully it won't be the one that you guys lose. Billy, thanks so much for the time, man. We really appreciate it as always. And now it's time for me and my man Gabe to break it down. The breakdown brought to you by the Oklahoma Proton Center. It's one of the top cancer centers in the region using state-of-the-art proton therapy. Oklahoma Proton Center, more than a cure, quality of life. We do have some big news for Strengthening Oklahoma. We are going to expand our platforms, and we are now going to begin making this free for everyone to view and take a look at exactly what we're doing here on Strengthening Oklahoma. We're fired up and excited to say we've had such a great response from our partners, our sponsors here on Strengthening Oklahoma, that we are going to no longer make it subscription based, but we're going to put it on various platforms to really help more engagement with these players, to really show so many more Sooner fans exactly some of the great players that we have a part of Strengthening Oklahoma, and they have a part of the Oklahoma football team, Gabe.
Yeah. So you can subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and you can get this content. The original goal of this whole thing when we started it was to create a better bond between the fan base and the players, and to help these players monetize, and earn off their name, image, and likeness. And we've been able to get to a point where we feel really good about that. And we thought, okay, let's open it up. You got all of these subscription things that are going. It's like, let's be the first ones to allow all fans to get to know these players a little more. And it's going to be fun. Now, this has been in the works for a while. We had targeted OU Texas week thinking there was going to be a lot of positive energy, a lot of excitement heading into the game. Dusty, sometimes things don't go according to plan in life, and this team's coming off 2 straight losses.
Yeah.
And man, all I ask is that, keep supporting the players.
Absolutely.
Keep supporting this team. Keep believing in the vision of the program. I know that it's rough right now, people, but we'll make it out on the other side of this stronger for it. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that more people are going to get to see these things. And we've put everything since the build up to the opener, right? Since that Monday leading into UTEP, we've put all of it on the podcast platforms and YouTube. So you can go back and watch the ones that we've done since the season started. So hopefully people like the content.
Yep.
And the players have been great, though. They've been great to work with, win or lose. So I'm excited that more people are getting an opportunity to see what we've got going on over here.
I totally agree. And again, hopefully this thing just grows and grows and grows. And I completely echo what you say, man. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be upset. You should. You're passionate fans. You love the Oklahoma Sooners. You love to watch them win and be on top of the college football world. That's all normal, and you should feel that way. But you shouldn't quit. Shouldn't give up. Shouldn't say, I'm sick of this team. I'm done with this team. And if you want to be that person, fine, by all means. No place for you here anyway. But you still need to support these guys. And I'm not here to tell you what to do. It's not what I'm here to do. But just know that they're more disappointed than you. All right. This affects them even more than it affects you. And look, there's some real, this has become a difficult situation, right? There's real adversity that these players and this team are trying to work through. And the last thing they need is fans that are praising them and loving them when things are going right to start beating them down and working against them when things are going wrong. You're better off saying nothing than you are being negative or attacking them and coming at them. Now, I only know one way to do my job. I really only know one way to be as a person, especially in this role. And I'm going to be honest, but I'm also still going to support this team, this staff, this program, and I'm still going to be an Oklahoma Sooner. That's my choice. I'm not telling anybody else what to do with them, but I can offer my opinion, my perspective, and that's exactly what it is. Because I'll be honest, man, I was in the booth in Tallahassee getting ready for my game that followed Oklahoma TCU on ABC. And I had this game on and I was watching as I was doing my final touch-ups on my boards. And I mean, it was disappointing, dude. It was tough to watch. It was tough to watch. I thought this team would respond. I thought this defense would respond after what we saw against Kansas State. And to allow 41 points and almost 500 yards of offense in a half. Okay. As bad as K-State was, they gave up 41 and 509 for the game. That was almost the same in the first half against TCU. And that was tough. It was difficult. And especially talking with players and talking about last week and then, talking about the week of practice and preparation and everything that went into it and the attention to details and the focus. And then to see that not show up whatsoever, it was disappointing, to say the least. And it was extremely difficult to stomach that. And the reality is Gabe, is, it's guys not doing their job. It's guys, I think confusion was a great way that Billy put it. There is confusion out there. There is guys that are unsure about where they're supposed to align or how they're supposed to fit a run or where they're supposed to be in coverage. And when you've got guys out there thinking and not playing fast against an offense that goes quick with athletes, explosive plays happen quickly like they did on Saturday. And I mean, look, there's no other way to put it. That has to be cleaned up. And that's on these players and that's on these coaches finding a way to hammer it home and make it click. And it can't be next week. It can't be a month from now. It's got to be this week right now, starting against Texas. Or I hate to say it, this defense is going to get exposed again. And there's going to be a lot more of the same because this is a very good Texas offense they're going to have to face this Saturday in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah. I will say, since I've taken my role in the OU radio team and doing the TV and radio stuff, that's the least fun I've had watching an OU game.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was tough, man. It felt worse than the Peach Bowl to me because at least in that one you knew LSU was
all-time
legit.
Great offense.
All-time great offense. You knew at that point, like they've got some serious talent. And
yeah,
I think TCU, just seeing them in person, man, they got size, they got speed, they got talent. There's no doubt. But I think the most frustrating part is Oklahoma's defense and the mistakes mental mistakes that can't happen. They just gift wrapped them points. And I thought we were past that with this system, with this group. I will say this. I think the guys are still playing hard. I think the effort's there. But like all that thinking you're talking about, to me, it's led to a lack of physicality. Especially, the linebacker, the back end of the defense, like all of that thinking. It's hard when you're thinking, it's hard to play physical because when you're playing physical, you're playing fast. You're being decisive. You're pouring downhill, knowing exactly where you fit and where your buddies all fit in the structure of the defense. They're really struggling with that right now, and you can kind of see the indecision on the tape. This is the reality of that performance against TCU. TCU could have had 800 yards of offense. They could have scored 70 points.
Yes, 100%. They
called
the dogs off. Sonny Dykes called the dogs off.
Absolutely. And that's the reality of the situation for Oklahoma. Defensively, you did not bounce back the way that you expected to, the way that you prepared to bounce back after the way you played against Kansas State. In fact, it got even worse.
Yep.
So now what are you made of? Do you let it happen again? You go out there on that field at the Cotton Bowl and get embarrassed by Texas, give up another 50 plus? Because Texas, I'll tell you, you and I think we both agree, Texas is the best offense they'll have played. No disrespect to TCU.
Yes.
But Sark is really good at what he does. Think what you want about him as a head coach, but the man can dial up plays, and they've got talent.
Yes.
at the skill position.
He's got 2 really good quarterbacks.
Yeah. Now, they may not add the mobile element like Duggan did with TCU, like Card or Ewers isn't going for 67-yard touchdowns, right?
Fair.
So, but they're going to have a great plan. They're going to be able to look at these last 2 weeks with Kansas State and TCU and see all of the things that Oklahoma has struggled with.
Yep.
And he's going to try to magnify them. I mean, that's how game planning works. And since they put it on tape, but the defensive group, they got to stick together, man. It is not the time to start pointing fingers.
No.
You got to figure it out. The leadership on that team. And that's the thing. It's like I see a lot of OU fans blaming Ted Roof, blaming Brent Venables, all this stuff. Listen, man, cover 3 is cover 3. It's the call. If you're the corner and you're deep third player, get to the deep third. That ain't on the coach.
Yeah.
You have to know your adjustments. How do you adjust the motion? How does that change the coverage? How does that change the call? You have to anticipate those things. And yeah. I think the most frustrating part for me, Dusty, is like there's been a lot of excuses, well, it's, they're in a new defense, new head coach, got a bunch of new players.
TCU has a whole new staff.
Bunch of transfer players.
Both sides of the ball.
Backup quarterback. Duggan's not their starter.
Right.
Chandler Morris started the year. He got hurt. I mean, both sides of the ball. They got a new DC, a new OC, a new head coach, everything. It's the exact same situation.
You can only use that. You can only use it. That's out the window at this point. Like,
I'm with you.
You had an entire spring, you had an entire fall camp. You're 5 games in. Like, at some point, like,
so
it can't be used as a reason.
I don't doubt the attitude, the effort of the players. I don't. But as a player, like, it's on you to execute what's called. Now, are you always in a perfect call defensively? No, you're not. Are there stress points in each different defense? Yes. But man, you got to perform. And that's what, when I was a player, and I'm sure you were the same way, like, I don't want anyone blaming the coach. Like, it's on you. You're the one in between the lines. So that's where, I mean, it's got to be, the accountability, it's got to ramp up, man. You can't have these mental busts that lead to 60+ yard touchdowns. You got to make teams work to score. And right now that just doesn't appear to be the case, man.
No, it doesn't. Look, there's never a perfect call. Players make calls perfect. That's the way I look at it. And right now, they got to perform better. All 3 levels. Let me be very clear here. The defensive line got pushed around. Like, we can, to me, and this is a concerning part. Is it fixable? Sure. I think anything's fixable. I think Oklahoma's shown they can be a much better defense, and not having mental busts, that will be massive. Okay. But at this point, are they capable of not having mental busts? I don't know. Because we've seen them for 2 straight weeks. But the other part, man, like TCU, like you and I both thought, you had an advantage at the line of scrimmage. They got pushed around, man. They got pushed around. That wasn't the biggest of the problems, but that was concerning. They didn't get much pressure on Max Duggan. I thought they did a good job getting the ball out quick, but like there was more than just bust. And how much of that is, your Daubers down, they start to get these explosives, all of a sudden you're questioning things. I can try to rationalize and say whatever. The reality is all 3 levels have got to play better, and it's got to start this week. And I'm going to tell you this, it did not help at all that our guest today, Billy Bowman, went out. Billy Bowman's been the most consistent player on the back end of that defense. And when he came out, the depth at safety started to really kind of, rear its ugly head a little bit. And, we're being honest, guys got to play better. And if someone does go down, next man up, and they've got to be ready to play. And that was just that, Gabe, to me, like, I was on the OU radio broadcast in 2014 when Baylor came to Norman, and it was 48-14 that day. And that was a tough one. Like, on your field, Baylor ran Oklahoma out of the stadium. But that one, for some reason though, this one felt even worse. Just because it felt like Oklahoma didn't have an answer, just didn't have an answer at all from Jump Street, like from the moment go, from the initial fumble, and it was disheartening. And right now, like, look, and again, I'm not trying to be all negative and doom and gloom. They can go win this game this week. They're have to step up, and we'll see what happens with the quarterback. It would surprise me if we see Dylan this week. I have no inside information at all. I don't want any. But the way his head bounced off the ground, I'm just glad he's okay. And I hope he continues to be okay. But given what we just saw in the NFL with Tua, it would surprise me if he plays. I could be dead wrong. And quite frankly, if he's healthy and ready to go, I hope I'm dead wrong. But, you're going to have to – you can go win this football game, no question. But there's going to have to be some guys really step up and really emerge. And it's really going to have to be on the defensive side of the football. Like, not just play better, but play really well. Find a way to create some takeaways. Find a way to create some momentum for the defense and for this football team, because, man, I never saw that at all. And this team is staring, Gabe, at its first 3-game losing streak since before Bob Stoops became the head coach. Like, think about that. Oklahoma football hasn't had a 3-game losing streak since the John Blake era. And I hate that I'm even saying that out loud, but they're going to go into this game as an underdog. Now, they've been a favorite the last 2 weeks, and they've lost. So clearly, underdogs can win, but that's kind of where we're at right now. And I hate that we're there because I love this head coach. I'm very close to a lot of guys on this staff, and I want nothing but great things for them. And I think they're capable of great things. But right now, they're in a very challenging spot, and they're going to have to find a way to play much better and find a way to win this game in Dallas. I mean, it's crazy because at 3-2 for both these teams, it's still a massive game. But this might be more important now than if Oklahoma was 5-0. Like, it just feels like they need something positive. They need something good to happen this early on in the Brent Venables tenure.
There's no doubt. And nothing, and I want to make something clear. Just from everyone I've talked to, they believe in Brent Venables. They believe in the staff. They believe in what they're doing during the week to get ready for games. They do.
Absolutely.
Like that, there's no doubt when it comes to that stuff. But the way that you create momentum, right, as a first-year head coach, the way that you continue to create buy-in from your current players and get the attention of recruits and all that stuff, well, you do that is by winning games and playing well. And let's just be real, the last 2 weeks, it hasn't gone well, man. It hasn't. So this makes me think of that. Now, the games that they lost were way more competitive, but that 2020 year, coming into OU Texas off 2 straight losses.
Yeah.
Now that was what was that? The 4 overtime, 5 overtime? A lot of overtime games.
A lot of overtimes.
There was a lot of overtimes in that one.
Drake Stoops touchdown.
Yeah. And, so it can happen, man. There's no doubt about it. This team is capable, but this is going to be a huge test. Looks like you're going to be missing some key players.
Potentially. We have no idea. We don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, but just with my experience and personal experience of the way that OU typically handles concussions, very cautious, which, by the way, OU's training staff, they were the MVPs in Fort Worth. They were amazing. I mean, just a tremendous job by all of those people. But this, like you mentioned, this is a lot of adversity, man. And we're going to see what this group in particular, right? This group of guys is made of. Because the last thing you want, like getting run by K-State and TCU is one thing. We all know what this game means to this fan base, to this state, to everyone around here. You got to come out and perform, man. I mean, that's bottom line. So I am I'm very, very interested to see what it looks like in the Cotton Bowl on Saturday. Very interested.
You and me and a lot of people around the college football world, especially Sooner fans, agree wholeheartedly. At some point this week, we do 3 of these a week. If you're just joining us, we pop these out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going to get into the Cotton Bowl and this game and what it's meant to Gabe and myself. I'm a Dallas kid. It's a special game for me. But given what transpired Saturday, I don't know if today is necessarily that day. But how you respond in life is always a key. This team has been struck with serious adversity, especially the defensive side. You want to see a response. You need to see a response. We'll find out if that's what's in store throughout the course this week until we head all the way up to Saturday in Dallas. Big thanks to Muse Growth Strategies for continuing to help us spread the word about strengthening Oklahoma. And a reminder, subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And a big thanks to our subscribers who've been there from the beginning and are probably still with us right now. We appreciate you. We thank you. All the viewers on YouTube, listeners on various podcast platforms, thanks for supporting this show, these players, and what we do here at Strengthening Oklahoma. We'll talk to you next time right here on Strengthening Oklahoma.